And of course, do the per usual copy, paste, everything else in between. We are live here on the Omega Republic.
Are we now?
I mean, we're live. I don't know if we're alive. I know that I'm barely alive.
I think it counts.
Yeah. Anyways, hello all. It's me, Coppercap, once again, joining you on the airwaves. Or virtual waves. Video waves, whatever you want to call it.
B-Wave.
Yes. We're here on YouTube. You know, that thing that you go to whenever, you're feeling depressed, you need a good laugh, you want to comment on a video that doesn't deserve commenting. Or maybe you want to comment on a video that you really like. Maybe the one from the Omega Republic. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Anyways, we're here to talk about a little thing called health. I mean, myself, I probably don't know enough about it to really tell you much about it, but, I'm going to inform you the best I can. And who else to help me with that, you ask? Why, it's none other than DJ Ark.
Apparently, Copper, I'm waiting for that check to clear.
Oh, it's in the mail.
Ah, well, okay. Hi, everybody, I am Dr. Ark.
Not to be confused with, Mr. Ark, the mathematician.
Yeah, we don't like that guy.
Always talking about math. No one really cares about math. You know what 2 plus 2 equals? Who cares?
Here, I thought it was going to be a club sandwich.
Turkey Club, actually.
Ah, well, that's if you minus one.
Anyways, so you noticed our title. We're going to be talking about health that is related to sleep and sun. So the one thing I must ask is, to anyone out there who is watching currently, let me ask you this. How much sleep do you get? Myself, I get anywhere from 1 hour of sleep a day to maybe 7 if I'm lucky. What about you, Ark?
Usually about 6 hours, 7 hours if I'm lucky.
Would you say that you
Don't really get the whole...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I don't really get the whole 9 or 8 hour ordeal.
Surprisingly, and this is not one of the facts that I have prepared, but I've been told by several different people that the older you get, the less sleep you actually need. I mean, less than what you need is when you're a child.
Yeah, sleep requirements can vary between kids, teens, and adults. Also, folks with physically demanding jobs or lifestyles would also need more rest as well.
Mm-hmm. Fun. The one thing
So, everything in parts.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, like everything in particular with health, it just all depends on the individual.
Of course. The National Health or CDC says that, we're supposed to get anywhere between 6 to 8 hours for our body to feel fully rested. I mean, if we're going to get that much sleep every single day, then yeah, I would feel very well rested. But, they left out the part about insomnia, working late, deadlines, uh, midnight snacks, midnight trips to the restrooms.
Well, interesting enough, once upon a time, people were actually biphasic sleepers, meaning they would sleep in 2 blocks. We would rest just after dusk for 4 hours, wake up at 2 to 3 in the morning, go out for walks, visit the neighbors, do a seance in the woods, then come back and rest for another 4 until morning.
Seance in the
And
woods?
of course, just saying.
Yeah. Anyways.
But we were doing something that 85% of most mammals already do. Uh, that actually changed about a little over 250 years ago with the Industrial Revolution, or then that's when we started to become monophasic, meaning we're just now sleeping for an entire block because we're now working longer hours.
And making less. No, I'm kidding. But, that aside. So yeah, there's definitely some history to our sleep schedule, at least for most of us in the modern world.
hmm Of course, this actually can be the reason why you have people who have sleep maintenance insomnia, which is repeated waking up at night.
Hmm, I wouldn't know anything
So
about that.
you may be biphasic.
Very possible. But anyways, continue.
Well, if you're wondering which is best for you, it's really either or. Really depends on what your body preference is. If you wake up within 4 to 5 hours, alert or awake, and of course you're out and about for a couple of hours before going back to bed, that's an indication right there.
Hmm. Well, what is the best way to overcome that?
Uh, well, in order to go ahead and overcome it, there are what in the world would you say it? There's the 10-3-2-1-0 guideline.
Oh.
Yes, the guideline with it is don't drink caffeine for 10 hours before going to sleep.
Well, I already failed that one.
Don't eat don't eat or drink alcohol 3 hours before you go to bed. Don't do any work for 2 hours prior to. No screen time within 1 hour.
Probably gonna fail that one.
And that basically means no cell phone, no computer, or watching TV. And the amount of times you should be hitting the snooze button is get up.
Ark?
I'm
Hello?
dropping. Yep,
Oh,
I'm dropping.
there you are. There you are. I hear you now.
Okay, where did you get?
The last thing I heard was, and the amount of times you'd hit the snooze button, and then you were gone.
Oh, the amount of times you should hit the snooze button is 0.
Hmm.
So basically, when the alarm goes off, you get up.
Hmm. All right. So no caffeine, no screen time, uh, no
No
alcoholic
eating.
beverages. So yeah.
And no hitting the snooze button. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, reasonable requests, but they're easily overlooked for some people.
yeah, what it is it's more of a guideline in particular, so you could go ahead and have a sleep routine. And as long as you have something that's consistent, routine, and your body will go ahead and get adjusted to it in particular. So that way, by the time you hit the bed or hit the pillow, you're snoozing and not being distracted.
Ah.
Other factors in particular, which of course is the blue light. The reason why blue light affects our sleep is simply because it has the same wavelength as sunlight does. So that
Ah.
actually affects our sleep.
Huh. I figured blue light was just like a new kind of light that was developed by LEDs, and it was something our brains couldn't process. But you're telling me it's actually closely related to sunlight? Huh.
Hmm.
Of course, that aside, some of the health benefits of getting more sleep. One, of course, which I kind of felt like I knew, but it's something you don't really think about, is you get sick less often. When we get sick, we always want to get more rest to recover faster. But actually getting more sleep actually improves our immunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of importance with sleep. So it's a little mental health start. You have increased numbers of folks having chronic health problems such as heart disease, kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, obesity. Can weaken your immune system as well, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, it can make you feel depressed, paranoid. It'll affect your focus and memory, also your reaction times. And that actually, if that sounds similar to being intoxicated, that's because it is.
Huh.
Apparently, um, Dr. Anne Marie Williamson actually had done a study where she took 39 subjects, 30 of which were from the transport industry and 9 from the Australian Army. And in that study, it was found that those who stayed up for 17 to 19 hours without sleep performed poorly on tests, equal to someone with a blood alcohol concentration or BAC of 0.05%.
So that's
And
why I
after
did so
24
bad on my
hours,
English tests.
and
Continue.
if
Go ahead.
you're up after 24 hours, your performance will actually show to be the same as having a BAC of 0.10%, which would be illegal to drive in the US.
Wow. That bad, huh?
Yeah, and 40% of Americans have actually involuntarily slept during the day at least once a month. Now imagine what kind of impact that actually has on transportation, the healthcare system, the military, basically anything that requires complete focus where lives are at stake.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, you being a military wolf, whenever you're going through basic, don't they like intentionally stretch your sleeping hours to like, less than 4?
Oh heck yeah. That's of course in these types of situations in particular, like I said, just because we do it doesn't necessarily mean it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that it's supposed to sharpen your wits, but from what you're saying, it sounds like it's actually a step backwards.
Eh, Yeah, it's called desensitization in particular, but of course, it just makes it so that you are not aware of your own screw ups, really. It's kind of like having a higher tolerance of alcohol. If you
Ah.
drink more, you're going to have a higher tolerance of it. But you're just still screwing up, you just don't know it.
Hmm. I mean, things like where a boss will intentionally hold employees over to get stuff done longer. I mean, it almost feels like a violation of rights when there's that much risk involved just from losing that much sleep.
Oh, definitely. This is actually part of the reason why, with pilots in particular, they were having a heck of a struggle, and many of them have admitted to actually falling asleep while both the pilot and the co pilot while flying. Truckers as well, that's another issue.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of crashes from those guys being sleep deprived.
Now, of course, the go-to for most people is caffeine whenever they need to stay awake and, for longer periods of time. But I know that there are a lot of health risks involved from involving caffeine rather than just staying up late.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you have sensitivity to caffeine. Other individuals that they have a high tolerance, caffeine doesn't really do much to them, but it's just something that's masking the underlying conditions that you have. Eventually, it's just gonna crash once again.
What's
But
the
there are actually some folks who have a unique gene mutation.
hmm?
Um, what was it? Oh, N783Y. That's it. It's located on the salt-induced kinase 3 gene, or SIC3 for short.
Huh.
I won't go into the details of the study of it, but it's an interesting finding, and it basically means that the super sleepers, that's what they're called, can actually thrive on 4 to 6 hours of sleep without actually compromising their health.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's actually a step towards progress in finding out how we could treat sleeping disorders like insomnia, circadian rhythm sleep disorders, but until we make further breakthroughs and discoveries, well, the best we can do is follow that 10-3-2-1-0 guideline and blue light.
I mean, there is another rule that actually was taught at when when I worked as staff on the when I worked as staff at the at Midwest Fur Fest. Sorry, when I worked as staff on Midwest Fur Fest, they they told us that we need to follow the 6-2-1 rule. Have at least 6 hours of sleep, 2 meals, and of course 1 shower. But I mean, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, because there's a certain area of, well, we're gonna avoid that. Let's focus on the 6 hours of sleep. Obviously, they didn't want us to like pull all-nighters, even though there's going to be some that are going to pull all-nighters.
Yeah. Some
But
individuals in particular will need less sleep. I'm one of them, but I just need at least about 6 hours. I prefer 7.
agreed. Now, one thing I will ask is, how long can the average person survive without sleep? At what point does everything break down?
Well, there has actually been a study on that one in particular, only one that I recall. The individual himself, he he started actually experiencing hallucinations, didn't even know where in the world he was or anything like that. Now, we really don't have any other research on this one subject in particular, simply because it's a cruel and unusual type of thing to keep people awake for such a long period of time. But eventually, he just crashed and was knocked out for an entire week or two, if I remember right,
Wow.
of nothing but sleeping. Yeah. However, with research in mice, we've actually found out that if you deprive them with enough lack of sleep, eventually they do die.
So even if they, even if they drink enough and eat enough, eventually the body will succumb to no sleep.
Pretty much.
For the
When you
average
go into
person,
your
anyways.
Yeah, whenever you go into your sleep cycle in particular, that's the key point where everything is regenerated. Your cells, else and anything else clouded with your memory. That's how you learn as well. It's all within your third sleep cycle, but of course the REM is just as important.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes, here it is. Randy Gardner, 11 days and 25 minutes.
And I'm sure, every single one of us has experienced staying up for more than 24 hours at some point or another in our lives. And, there was like a threshold that when you crossed it, you were able to keep going. But once you stopped, that was it.
Yeah, your body will actually start looking for other resources for energy, which of course is going to be carbs and sugar. It'll start. That's the reason why you have these sudden cravings whenever you have lack of sleep as well, because your body needs that quick energy fix.
Exactly. Now, and I'm sure we got just enough time to touch on this. Now, what is, and I know that sleep can help rejuvenate the body, but what is the key factor to avoiding, how does sleep help me fight diabetes?
Well, diabetes is a fickle thing in particular. I know it can actually be a hereditary thing as well.
Mm-hmm. But aside from the fact of it being a hereditary, for just the average person who doesn't have hereditary diabetes, will the
For
it's the pancreas, isn't it? What? No, the insulin. Where? Okay, what organ creates the insulin?
of course, it's that.
Arc. Hello. Hang on, folks. I've lost my co-host.
Yeah, I was. Oh shoot.
Oh wait, I think he's back.
Okay,
Well,
how about now?
yep, you're good. I hear you now.
Cool. All right. So, what did you miss?
I didn't hear a word after I asked you what organ creates the insulin.
Oh. Yeah, that's the pancreas, if I remember right.
It is the pancreas. For some reason, I wanted to think
Um,
it was the liver, but that didn't sound right.
No. Liver just filters. But yeah, getting enough sleep can actually help manage with diabetes. It can reduce the risk of developing it by, of course, regulating the blood sugar level as well, which of course improves your insulin sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
It can also help balance your appetite regulating hormones as well. So that way, like you said, you're not craving all of these carbs and sugar either. But that's actually one of the key things in particular with sleep in order to go ahead and help prevent it in particular. But like I said, diabetes in particular can be a finicky simply because it can be a hereditary disease as well. With that being said, folks, always get yourself checked for type 2 diabetes because that is a nasty disease that will destroy every single organ.
Because it's just like the toxins. It's like the sugar creates like a toxin in your body. It doesn't come digest it, and it just slowly builds up and builds up and builds up. Kind of like a grease trap.
Yeah, like I said, it's you have a you don't have that insulin sensitivity in particular, and eventually it just crashes out with your pancreas.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to move on to the second half of our discussion, which of course is sunlight. Now, a lot of us these days, I'm sure, we're either stuck in an office, stuck in a building, driving. We don't really get a chance to get exposed to natural sunlight. But you know what? It's funny to think that we actually need sunlight. Oh, what about sunburn? What about melanoma? What about, skin cancer? Well, yeah, overexposure is a bad thing. Right, Ark?
Yes. I don't know what you're talking about. Sun is great. Some of us could care less for the sun. I, on the other hand, embrace the warmth, that warm sensation being from the UVB.
Now,
But
obviously,
the
the
U
go-to...
But yeah, the UVB, it'll actually penetrate our skin and interacts with the cholesterol that turns it into vitamin D3, which I'm guessing is what you're going. Right, right, right. Vitamin
Right.
D, right, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always been the go-to, vitamin D. And frankly, okay. Now, okay, people are going to ask, obviously, and the health experts here, what exactly is vitamin D to me? What does it mean to my body?
Well, not only it helps with bone growth, but it also helps support your immune health, which, of course, is another thing that the sunlight does to boost our immune system, is that it boosts our white blood cell levels.
Ah,
Yeah, which is, of course, is important to help fight off infections or sickness. Interesting enough, though, sunlight has an immunosuppressant effect too that helps to prevent or actually hinder the effects of autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis and inflammation like eczema and dermatitis. Of course, once again, this does vary by person to person, since some folks can have photosensitivity, which would give the opposite effect on triggering flare ups. Also, sweating in the heat itself can trigger flare ups with prolonged exposure.
really? Hmm.
Yeah, not only does it have the benefits of vitamin D3 and all that other stuff, but it can stimulate the production of nitric oxide in the skin, which nitric oxide will actually help to widen the blood vessels. Wider blood vessels means lower blood pressure meaning the reducing the risk of heart attacks and strokes.
Hmm. Hopefully you're paying attention to this, folks. since we since we have no shortage of cases of people having strokes and heart attacks these days.
Yeah, heart disease is actually the #1 killer in America in both men and women.
Yeah, forget about cancer. Cancer's a slow killer. Heart attacks and strokes, 5 minutes is all it takes. Or actually less than that. Especially if you have an aneurysm. Those are fun too.
Oh my goodness. Always, always.
And this is going to be kind of an adult story, but okay. I knew a gentleman who, you know, he was severely overweight, but he was also very unhealthy in the sense of never eating right. He was an alcoholic, very heavy alcohol. He was a good friend, but unfortunately, I mean, he was an older friend. But I know that he lived a very unnecessarily stressful and unhealthy lifestyle. Okay, one day he was just walking around and he said his back was hurting him a lot and it was right between his shoulder blades. He was experiencing a lot of pain. He goes to the doctor and they the doctor there said that, oh, it's just some minor back spasms here, just take some painkillers and go on home. But what he did was he he was on his way home and he started feeling even worse and he went to another hospital for a second opinion and they noticed something about his blood pressure. They rushed him over to, I believe, it might have been St. Louis. I believe it was St. Louis because that's not too far from here. But they had to take him by chopper, and lo and behold, he had a major aneurysm that had formed off his heart in 6 different places, and it was moments away from rupturing.
Oh, man.
Now, for those of you who don't know, an aneurysm, if you picture a regular blood vessel, picture just a regular tube. Now, picture that swelling way, 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 way past its normal size to where it looks like, I've seen pictures of some that almost look like a deformed bunch of grapes melted together. And they could look even worse than that. But yeah, that was he had a cardiologist, I think is what it's the technical term. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But yeah, they went through his.
Cardiologist is study of the heart.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, unfortunately, he did succumb to it 3 years later, but he managed to survive for another 3 years. But what was sad was right after his heart surgery, he lost a lot of weight. He started taking care of himself, but within the next 2 years, he went right back into his old habits, and he succumbed to it.
That's an unfortunate thing. Aneurysms can be a very scary thing in particular. I actually recall this one story as well. It was, one of the nurses in particular told me one of his friends who worked at a hospital down over there in LA. He wasn't feeling very well in particular. He goes to the restroom, has a headache, comes back, and all of a sudden he just hits the floor.
Mm.
And of course, even though he hits that floor, all the nurses were right on top of him. In particular, he was dead before he even hit it, dropped. Come to find out, it was a brain aneurysm that exploded.
Now, between the heart aneurysm and the brain aneurysm, what what's the big difference between the two? Besides the location, obviously.
Um, that's basically all the same. The only difference is, like I said, the location. But of course, aneurysms, especially in the arteries in particular, is a very dangerous thing because once the artery explodes, it just bleeds within seconds.
Yeah, not good. But yes, of course, getting back on the topic of sunlight, we apologize for getting off there, but we're just trying to help you all understand that something as simple as sunlight can reduce your problems in, just a little bit. Just a little bit of sunlight. Now, one thing I don't really know is how much sunlight you need. I didn't really save that part of it, unfortunately. I mean, probably would take a minute to look it up, but
It usually depends on individuals in particular. If you live in the northern region of Earth, like up down over there in Canada or Scotland, you're going to need more.
you still there?
So go out in the morning or out in the evening. Try to avoid afternoons, it's a little bit too intense.
Right.
and be outside during the dusk or dawn hours for at least about, yeah, 15 minutes. Go walk a dog.
There you go. I mean, now, what happens to a person if they get no sunlight?
Well, dropping vitamin D. There are supplements for that though. Heck, they even got vegan supplements as well too,
Vegan?
because vitamin D. Yes, vitamin D supplements in particular are actually made from sheep fat.
Huh?
Well, the underlying fat of the sheep's wool.
Huh. Did not know that.
The yeah, there's lack of sunlight will do that to you. People sources thinking you're a vampire. And of course, you have the seasonal depression as well. I know you mentioned that in one of your things here.
Yep.
That's also another. Yeah. So, serotonin is your happy feel good chemical. That's
Uh,
the reason why you'll likely feel depressed. However, the upside is it can be supplemented with infrared light.
ah.
But you need infrared in order to supplement it.
Right.
Also, all of that's just going to cost you, getting your vitamin D supplements, infrared light, and whatnot. Go out 15 minutes, sunlight, it's free.
There you go. Yeah, for all of you hardcore goths out there, I'm talking to hardcore that believe that, sunlight shouldn't exist and all the other things. I'm not going to go too deep into it cuz I don't want to get in trouble for it. We're not saying go outside and stand out there underneath the blazing sun for hours on end. Like Ark said, maybe an hour. That's all you need.
An hour. If you're going to be out for an hour, get some sunscreen.
Exactly. I mean, come on. I mean, I understand if where you live is not the best place, but you know, surely you have access to sunlight at some point of the year, unless you're in Greenland, Iceland, or Alaska.
That's also another thing that's interesting. You were mentioning about locations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know with trees in particular, it is very effective of reflecting UV light. Heck, that's actually how we study the Amazon rainforest in particular. We actually go on infrared to see all of these trees and access them of the Amazon rainforest.
Hmm.
So if you live in a green area, you're going to get plenty. You live in a green area, be under shade, and you're still getting some good UV rays.
There you go.
Of course, there are other things that greenery will actually help with you too. On top of, if I remember right, the Green Heart Project it assessed the impact of planting trees on inflammation on 745 residents.
Hmm.
And the study actually led to a 13 to 20% drop in inflammation levels linked to heart disease as well. Researchers have actually suggested that this may cut the risk of, well, heart attacks, cancer, or death by up to at least about 15%.
Wait, are you saying we could become immortal with trees?
Only by 15%.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, 15% is better than 0%.
Oh, man.
I mean, mortality is 100%, so yeah.
Yeah. If you cut 15% by infinite, what do you get? Infinite.
Right. Uh, anyhow. But yeah. Sunlight and
Yeah,
sleep.
back.
Also,
Yeah,
hi Jay.
the funny thing with sunlight is that yes, it's a deadly laser that can cause skin cancer if you're out in it for too long. But some research actually has shown that some cancer can be prevented or reduced of having a chance of getting, like colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate.
Really?
Yeah, potentially can be due to regulating cell growth and, of course, that vitamin D too, but we do not entirely know exactly as to the reason why.
But I mean, if we know that it's related or correlated at least, then it's worth at least trying it.
Yeah. So if you don't mind getting a little bit of a tan and a few extra wrinkles, you're getting better health overall.
There you go. But yeah, between sunlight and sleep, we've learned a lot. Right now, we've learned how beneficial sleep can really be whenever you get enough of it, and the dangers of when you don't get enough of it. We know that we've learned some of the obvious factors. Don't rely on caffeine if you can't get sleep. And screen time. We all love our computers, we love our tablets, our phones, and all the other stuff. But yeah, it could be linked to your waking up constantly before you get your proper REM sleep.
And if you're waking up in the middle of the night with a lot of energy, you're probably biphasic and you may want to adjust your sleep to, do something in the middle of the night for a couple of hours before going back to bed for another 4 hours of rest.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But
Also,
it,
don't do seances in woods, kids.
yeah, avoid that, please. But anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up here, folks. We thank you for joining us here on our first health show. We decided to keep it a little bit short because we know education isn't fun.
What? Fun? I was told that there was gonna be cookies, confetti, and that check that's coming in that mail. I thought it was
Uh,
fun.
I told you, it's in the mail. I sent it. Super Express Ultimate Mailing First Class, Supreme Class, Ultra Jet, Hyperspeed, mailing person.
Ah, so FedEx 1 hour shipping.
Exactly. But anyways, folks, we hope that you've enjoyed your time with us this evening. Hope that you learned and taken a few things from here. And we hope that you've enjoyed your time here on ARC.
Whatever this place is.
Oh, yeah. It's the Omega Republic. Thank you very much for
Omega
joining us, folks.
Republic.
Anyways, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow for Bayonetta 2 with Bific and Shovel. Once again, lighting up the stage.
Stay healthy, stay safe, folks.
Yep. Good night.